Okay, so thanks everybody for joining in today. Glad to have you here, and I'm really excited to present our new Project V5. We just got it out there this week. I'm sure quite a few have been following. It's been a long time coming, but really excited. Lots of great new features. And today's presentation, we're going to be spending maybe like 15, maybe even up to 25 or so minutes, depending on how in-depth we go. And we're going to give you an overview of all of the new features available inside of the app. And I'll do some demonstrations of each individual change, including some examples of how you can best leverage like the common V5 features that have come out that you already might be familiar with using in the CRM, for example. So first of all, real quick, in case you're new to the platform and you're watching this video, Apptivo previously had project management available. It was quite well featured. It had typical task management. We already had integrated CRM and billing. But we've just rolled out our new project management system. It's just for the Projects app, and it's converted to what we call our V5 technology. Now, V5, it's kind of this term we use to contain a bunch of new common features. So Apptivo is based around these very common features like all the settings areas, the reporting areas, the way you search through data. It's all consistent across apps. So currently our CRM suite is fully converted to V5. And we've just moved projects. So all of those CRM features you previously saw are deployed into projects as common features. But there's also have been a few key improvements that are unique to project management or had a particularly good improvement for the project management usage. So what we're going to do is we're going to first run through these key enhancements, which we can see right here on the top of our blog post. And then I'll dive in and I'll show you all of the various common features and how they might apply to your day-to-day project management usage. All right, so first, the number one change is the task dependencies. In our previous system, you would go to your Projects app. You would look at any specific project, and when you looked up its details, it had a similar structure where we have a tab for all the individual tasks, but then there's also a tab for the milestones. Although, unfortunately, I grabbed a horrible example in that case. Let me go ahead and grab this second project, which does have some data for us. Okay, so here we have the flat list of tasks, and then it's broken into milestones. This functionality has remained exactly the same. We have improved the look and feel, so you should notice that it's much faster and easier to look at your milestone data. I can click on any one of these. We have our new side panel technology that allows me to easily make edits. So yes, the user interface is just greatly improved. You're going to be able to do things much faster. But functionally, the way it works with creating a milestone and then adding tasks to that milestone, it's still the same concept. What has changed is whereas previously the start dates and end dates, you would be forced to pick a start date and end date for everything. Every task and every milestone had a very finite date. And the big problem with that is if you ever had to make a delay to your project or the schedule changes, well, now you have to go through and change every individual task. And that's what we've really focused on to eliminate in our new project management system. The way we've accomplished that is by introducing dependencies between tasks. So there's kind of a philosophical change here in the way that we handle milestones. And now a milestone, it never has a true start date and end date. It's always driven by the tasks inside of it. So the milestone is really just a container for this list of tasks. And if we click on any one of these tasks, there's two key fields. One is the estimated duration. So this would be 54 hours. And this actually defaults to counting on an 8-hour work day. So based on this estimated duration, it's able to calculate the difference between the start date and the end date. Meaning I could change one of these and it would adjust my estimates and everything. But the idea is you should just focus on using your estimated dates and also your dependencies. So this task in particular is the very first task in a project, meaning it's not dependent on anything else. It'll occur on day one of the project. But you'll see if I click to my next task, it is dependent on that first task. And it has an estimate of 61 hours. So now instead of you having to calculate what the start and end date might be based on that estimate, you just know that this type of task takes 61 hours, and our project schedule will get built out automatically. So that means that this will begin the 52 hours or some odd hours after the start of the project, and then we'll move into the third task another 61 hours later. So what we end up seeing is the whole project schedule is built out for you, and it's all presented in the Gantt chart, which is our next big item. So the Gantt chart and task dependencies, they really go hand in hand with each other. The Gantt chart really it makes editing the project so much easier. it also, of course, makes visualizing the project and who's working on what and when it's occurring much better. We see here this is just a huge improvement over the existing system. But what we see here is now these little arrows between the green bars, which are tasks, that indicates these dependencies that we have set up. So you'll notice we just have a clean flow from the start of our project to the end of it. And now this is really where the huge difference between the old system and the new system is. Let's say this initial client meeting. It was initially supposed to end on the 7th, but I haven't been able to meet with them until like the 13th. Well, you just go ahead and delay that, and you notice instantly my entire project schedule has been adjusted. So that right there demonstrates the benefit of the task dependency, where now you don't have to worry about changing everything, monitoring every task. You can just count on the fact that the order you built in, the order that the events need to occur in, that will be withheld, and your project schedule will be determined automatically. So let's spend another moment and let's talk about some of the other features available inside of this Gantt chart, because this is actually the first version. You can count on some more improvements coming, but we've got a couple things built in. So first of all, if you have a larger project, you will be able to zoom out. We can get down to like a quarterly or a yearly view. Obviously, this particular project doesn't look very good there, but we can also drill in. Sometimes you have a project that only occurs over maybe a couple days, but it has a lot of finite tasks, such as if you're doing like event management, maybe your tasks are down to the hour. So in that case, you can drill in and we can get zoomed all the way in to make sure that we get a closer view, and a shorter timeline takes up a longer area inside of the Gantt chart. Otherwise, the Gantt chart also does have a grid style layout. So right here, this bar in the middle, you can click it and drag it. And this also allows us to easily make some changes directly from the Gantt chart. So here I could go ahead and mark off when I've completed that first task inside of the project. And you could also go ahead and adjust like the duration from here to go and adjust the rest of the project schedule. So you see that wouldn't shift the duration of anything else, but our project dates will have been moved. Otherwise, we have a print functionality built in. So you are able to actually print out visually how this Gantt chart will look down to a piece of paper. And this is actually one of several new print features that we've added. One other one, which actually existed before but did not look as nice, is the milestone printing. So a lot of people have requested a one-page printout of their project. There you go. Right there, you can print this page. Okay, so that is the Gantt chart and task dependencies. By far and away, those are the cornerstone of what Projects V5 is. If you are an existing user, there's going to be a process of going through your existing projects and adding in these dependencies. And you'll see that they definitely integrate with the templates. So absolutely, I'd recommend this is one of the first things you do to get a feel for Projects V5 is go in, either edit your existing template or create a brand new template, and build out your milestones and dependencies here. There's actually a short video inside of the blog post about constructing your first project with milestones. Actually, it's not on the blog post. It's on our YouTube channel. So certainly, I'll post this up on the blog in a little bit. There's actually a lot more videos to follow it. But you'll see right here, there's a little 5-minute run-through of creating a project with dependencies and everything from the template. Okay, so task dependencies Gantt chart, huge feature. Let's go ahead and talk about all these other little improvements that we've made, because that's really the unique enhancement. That's what Projects V5 is centered around. There's also a lot of other things that we did, one of which is enhanced reporting. And this comes in two different ways. One is we've actually added a couple new reports. So one thing is if you're an existing user, you notice that previously reports was here in the left column. We have now moved it here in the upper right corner. So I can click on that, check out all the reports available. Any of the projects reports that previously existed, they have been transferred over. So they're still here, like running an activity report to get a list of every task going on inside of my project. But you'll see we've added a couple billing reports. So the particular purpose of these is some people bill from like an outside system, so they need to download a spreadsheet of all the hours logged against every project. Some people aren't billing for the hours logged in their project. They just want to get an idea of how much effort was spent so they can judge whether it was actually cost-effective or not. So we've added in these reports that help you track the regular hours logged versus how many hours were estimated versus how many hours were actually billed for it. And a few different reports here. You can drill down by all the hours for a specific customer. So that would be for like a billing type purpose. And then there's project hours by task, that would be like an efficiency type rating. You just want to see, well, what is the estimated versus actual amount of hours logged across the whole project, which tasks were the worst performing. And then there's employee hours by project, which is, well, how many hours has this specific employee been logging? Where has their time been being spent? So you can get a feel for what they've been up to. So there's new reporting in that manner, but there's also just been kind of the common features that came out that gave you reporting. And this is not the reports that you're going to see up here. It's actually our custom views feature, which I believe is going to be right here, our next item. So customized views and navigation. So many customization options that have now been introduced. But the number one thing that you're going to be able to do is produce a much better dashboard for yourself. So it's one thing to be able to look at your Gantt chart, and now you can get great visibility into a single project. But a lot of the time, you need to come in and you have 6 projects going on. Well, what status is each of them on? Who is currently working on what? What sort of details do I have? I mean, we have custom fields you might put in the system. Previously, you would have name, status, customer, project manager. You would not be able to change these. But now we're able to create our own layout right here. So there's 2 things you can do. You can filter your list of projects based on any property that you have. This includes custom fields that you might have put into the system. So I could filter by all of like my hourly billing projects versus milestone billing. Or I could come down and I could look at maybe one of these other custom filters which I have put into the system. So only projects where I verified requirements, something along those lines. So you're able to run these searches. In this case, let's just look for all projects which are awaiting kickoff or on track. You can run that search. You'll get your list of projects back. Now, let's say in this specific list, I want to see the status. That's very good. But I don't really care about the customer. I don't care about this my drop-down. Maybe I want to see some other details, like those custom pieces of information I put in. Like maybe I want to see all of my projects that had a happy customer, like whether they're happy or not, what the status is. So I can actually use this display button right here, and this shows me every field that I have inside of the system. And I'm going to show you in just a moment how you can actually create your own fields. So absolutely any piece of information that you want to display here, and as long as you type that into the Projects app, you're going to be able to display it in these search results. So in this case, maybe you're taking advantage of the tags feature, and maybe inside of this you're looking to get a couple of your custom details that you have in there. And also the billing method. So we can come through and we can remove a couple of these other details that maybe we don't think are as important. And notice in real time, this changes the columns that are visible. So we've just kind of created our own little dashboard right here. It's showing us our customized list of projects with our customized pieces of information. And now what we can do is save it away for later. Previously you had your left column, you could really only filter by status and maybe priority. Like there's very few filters available for you to like look through a list of projects. Now you can filter based on anything, and I can save this away for later. So I can call this whatever I want. I can elect to share it with my fellow colleagues. And then inside of the left column, you'll see My Views contains every view that you have previously saved, so you can flip through all of these. And it will also contain shared views, which is actually disabled in my business. But shared views is everything else that people have shared with you. So this is kind of one other way to do reporting, because what you can do with any list of data you have in the system now is run bulk actions on it. So one feature of bulk actions is to change the fields. So for example, I could indicate that these were all like a 1-year contract, something like that. But I can also pull a spreadsheet of this data. I could shoot an email to everybody on all these projects, crazy like that. But basically, I can perform whatever level of action in here that I'd like, removing it from the system. But in this case, I could pull a report. So if I just wanted to report with like those 7 columns and just this list of projects, check this out. I was able to download exactly what I'm looking at this time. So this is a new feature available, custom views, and any custom view is exportable. Either you can export every field you have for that project, or just the fields that you specified. Okay, so that kind of wraps up the new reporting enhancements, but it leads right into the customization options. So I just mentioned there's something called shared views in this left column, but in my business, it's disabled. This is another brand new feature. This left column is now controllable by you. you are able to find something such as by queue and say, well, I don't want to use that. And maybe you use priority all the time, so you would like it to be displayed on top. We can head into our settings area, and you'll see a new area called views. And this is where we get to control this. And by the way, this functions exactly the same as it does in every other V5 app, except you see we've added one cool brand new feature. And I'm going to come back and explain this in a moment. Here, we can just simply enable or disable items. So I can, for example, disable by queue, disable overdue projects, or I could take my shared views, enable it, and then move my priority one up. So it should be very simple to use. It's all click and drag, very intuitive. That will, in real time, update what I see over here. So you see priorities on top, and there we go. Now we have shared views, which would be any other custom view that somebody else in my company has saved and shared with me. So this whole left column is customizable. And we just saw there was something called a view column set. So what it was saying is for each one of these views that I click on, what set of columns should it use? We just demonstrated how to change the columns for any individual view, but you'll actually notice right on top it says Overview. Now what this is, it's your default column set, but you can actually create a couple different sets of columns to give you a different view into the same list of information. Now one example of this might be, well, first I want to look at a list of my projects and I want to get information about their status. What state is it in? Are there any problems? What's the due date on it? Is it overdue? Some details like that. So I can have a view column set, and maybe I call it project status. So here I've got my overview, but I can actually add a brand new one, and I'll call this project status. So we'll come in here, and we're going to remove everything that's not related to the status of the project, and we'll throw in anything that we do see as relevant to the status. So here we go. Now we're just going to look at the project name, the due date, the status, the modified date. Then we could create another one that shows our contact-related information. Well, if there's a problem with this project and I need to talk to somebody, I want to be able to quickly see everybody involved. Who's the customer? Who's the PM? Everything like that. So maybe I call this my contact view. And I'll come in and let's do some customization on this. So customer, absolutely, project manager, timesheet approver, the creator of it. And that should probably be pretty good. And maybe one of these, whoever signed the contract. So then I come through and I'll get rid of these other things that might not be as relevant here. So now I've got that special view. So now I can come through, I can run any search, or for example, I could look at all of my high priority projects. And now I can run through, okay, well, what is the status of all my high priority projects? You see, I was able to just click that and I selected that column set. There. I instantly see the status. Now, Global Tech Consulting, oh, that one looks like it has a problem. Now I want to see, who do I talk to? I don't even have to click on it. I just flip on over to my contact view. And we'll see the same set of data right there. Okay, so no, it's for the customer Maxilon, created by Kenny, and the timesheets are approved by the PM, who is also Kenny. So that's a demonstration of how you can use those view column sets. And just by the way it functions is if you modify the first column set right here, this will change the default. So if I come through and I remove like that my drop-down value and I add in my tags, then anytime I run a search, just the default setup will be right here. Okay, so then just real quick to show you how that correlates back into the views we were looking at, you'll see right here I've got my default column set. So when I'm looking at the priority projects, I want to know their status. When I'm looking at overdue projects, I already know their status, so I want to look at who to talk to for them. And now when I come in, I'm going to be able to click priority. You'll see it has my status-based column set. And then I can hop on over and look at my overdue projects. And we'll see I have my contact view column set. So there's absolutely, this is one of those things I don't recommend going in there and fully customizing it from day one. Go play with it a little bit. And then as you're running searches, as you're looking through your projects day to day, you're going to figure out the patterns of how you personally use the system. And I recommend just creating column sets on the fly. You saw how easy it is to change, and just continually work on improving these and creating your own custom layouts to make it easier to browse your projects. Okay, so that covers the custom fields, views, and navigation. Although I totally skipped the custom fields. Previously, in project management, you were able to create your own custom fields. You were able to add your own drop-down menus, everything like that. You were not able to modify the default fields available inside of the system. And that has been completely changed. Every field is now fully modifiable, including the ability to rearrange our default fields or to delete one entirely. You could click on one, we could rename it to whatever we'd like. We have full flexibility at this point. Of course, you can still come in and you can create your own fields. One cool new feature you'll see is your fields can be shared with the other V5 applications, and it can also be secured. So now, for example, I could have a list of fields related to some sensitive information for this project, and I could restrict it so these fields are only visible to administrators inside of the company, but all of my general project users could see all of the other fields, like the basic status. And then if you're using, like, let's say the sales process, you can now convert from like lead, opportunity to project, and the custom fields you created in opportunities and leads and everything can actually transfer directly onto projects now. Any V5 app can transfer fields between each other. Every custom field you put in the system is available from your search and is also available in those view column sets we just showed. Okay, so that's the field customization. Now, we've already spent most of the time, but these are all the more minor enhancements. So we're just going to kind of quickly hop through. We'll spend a few minutes on this. And if you do have any other sort of questions, definitely ask away right now, and I'll pause periodically to grab them. Okay, so here are all the common enhancements added. We've already covered the couple major ones like custom views. So custom columns, create your own dashboards. We just demonstrated that. I didn't show you, but the quick links in this left column, these were there before, but now you can actually control which links are shown here. So one example we've heard from a business is they put a link to a Google spreadsheet where they do their expense reporting, or just like a link to some common corporate policies. So there's a settings area, and you can actually change quick links. Categorize and filter your projects using tags. So yeah, we introduced our new tags feature, but you just saw the field customization. It doesn't even matter if you have tags. You can filter based on anything you want now. Left column views like complete projects will display the number of records. So this is one of those minor things you might not notice, but just one of those little improvements. So now I don't have to click on all to understand that there's 99 projects inside of my system. It just shows it to you right there. Now, changing the field values for any projects via bulk actions, we just saw that one. I can take any list of projects, click on them, and I can change any field that I want. Exporting a list of projects using bulk actions, we saw that one earlier. And the key to remember is there's two export features. One is all fields, which means it's going to export every single custom field you put in the system, everything we see in Customize App. And current view means it's only going to export the columns which you've selected and what you're looking at right now. We added those 3 new billing reports, which we kind of saw earlier. And this I didn't really talk about. This actually came out in Homepage V5, but it's very applicable to projects. Every project, task, and appointment or follow-up that you put into the system now is able to have a pop-up alert built in. So you'll see, yes, we added task dependencies. We've also added this little remind me right here. So if you want an alert to show up on your screen 10 minutes before this task is due, you punch that in, and you can also create multiple alerts, and I could set like one a couple days ahead of time, whatever you want to do here. And this will just pop up a little alert in the bottom right corner. Of course, you probably need to name your task. Okay, and then added all the common collaboration features. So what that means is all these tabs right here, they will function absolutely the same as the CRM applications. Nothing in particular has changed as far as functionality goes. They're just going to look nicer, they're going to run faster, they're going to take less clicks to operate. And this is actually going to be coming out this weekend. But basically, before, when you converted an opportunity to a project, you were unable to select one of your existing templates, and we're going to add a drop-down menu to allow you to select a template. What you'll notice right now is there's no more option to create project from template. We've simply added it to the general page of creating a project. So you can just leave it blank, create a project from scratch, or use a template and create one from that existing template. Okay. And then that's basically it. We just added a couple more security improvements, and let's just quickly run through those. So really, these are the same things that we've done in all of the other V5 areas. I just showed you the field security that's been added. We still have the existing data level access, which allows you to say that people can only see projects that they're a team member of. There's one thing which affects projects, although this was released several weeks ago. At the business level, we can turn on our collaboration security. So a lot of people like to run an open environment where every employee sees every task and every email and every event for each project. So you'll see right here for each of those collaboration objects, I can choose show all to everyone, and then that will open up the collaboration mode. And then that would affect each project that everybody's a member of. Then otherwise, you'll just notice across the settings, our reports, our collaboration features, they can all be turned on and off. And you also have this role restriction over here. So this functions the same as the other apps. What this is by default, it says it's related to the project management privilege. And anybody who you give access to project management, they're going to have that privilege. So it just means that it's general access. But you could say that the documents uploaded to a project should only be visible to my administrators. So here you might have a different role that you've already created or a different privilege. Or what I can do is I can create my own custom privilege. So I could call one administrate projects. And I could come through and I could restrict a couple reports to administration. You'll see once I add it in once, I can now start selecting that. And I can even restrict my views to a specific security privilege. So maybe my billing method views are only visible to project administrators. And then what you'll see is instantly when you add a security privilege, you should be already knowing how to create custom roles, is you go into the settings of the Employees app, and under roles we're able to edit any one of these roles, and you'll see we can add that privilege in. So if we go ahead and we edit this, inside of project management we'll see our custom privilege has been added right here. And that would be how you grant access to one of those now restricted fields or restricted views, reports, whatever you lock down, it's all centered around this same security privilege system. Okay, excellent. So we've covered everything. It doesn't look like there's any other final questions. So as far as moving forward, what you can expect from us. Over the next week or so, we're going to be releasing a lot of new videos and help content to further demonstrate the features that we just ran through today. And we're also going to be releasing several more updates to project management. There's lots of little features which we didn't quite make into the first release that we want to get included in there. And this includes like better billing and budgeting control, in addition to some other performance improvements. So absolutely, if any users have any feedback about the system, we encourage you to either contact us at support@apptivo.com, or built into the tool right here, you can just type in your feedback. We absolutely would love to hear what you think about the new application, and we're excited to have it live. So thanks for everybody for attending today, watching the video, and best of luck with our new project system.